So today I'm going to go over how to pin things to attach. First, I tend to favor using corsage pins. They're very long and very sharp, and they do a great job of weaving through the crochet work in order to pin things to attach. I like all different very long pins. I also have used and continue to use regular pins. They are useful for some things, but I tend to prefer these much longer corsage pins. We're going to work on a seahorse today, and I'm going to pin all of the ornamentation to attach to this seahorse. So first, I'm going to pin the fin that will go along the back of the seahorse. We want it to go from the center of the top of the head all the way down the spine and along part of the tail. To do that feels a little tricky, but it's not. We figure out where we want it to start, centered on the forehead, and then we take a pin, and I usually aim it into the very tip of the work that I'm pinning to attach, and then I weave that pin through the crochet work. That makes it a pretty secure pinning. I do not take the pin and put it just straight into the crochet work because that is not secure, and my husband is scared of pins, and I don't want him to get stabbed by yet another pin. So this is the best way to pin things to attach, weaving through instead of sticking it straight in, because that will come apart with any kind of strain or stress. So we're going to position this along the back of the head. We're going to stick that pin into the base edge where you're going to sew to attach, and then weave it into the amigurumi crochet work ever so slightly, and that securely pins it. You can do that on both sides, but I recommend always aiming your pin into the area you're going to sew to attach, and then weaving that in through the crochet work so that you get these fairly secure. That one's not quite as secure, but it will be when I add another one. Grab the bottom base edge of that work, weave that pin through the crochet work, pin that. That's slightly off center. I don't like that. I'm going to redo that. This method of pinning also keeps the sharp end of the pins away from me as I'm sewing to attach, and protects me as I sew it. It also gives me an idea visually of what it will look like when it's assembled, and I can decide if these options really are what I wanted to pin to attach and sew to attach to this creature, or if I want to change their positioning or change the color or do something different altogether if it doesn't feel right. Pinning to attach is an incredibly useful tool, and it helps you to see whether or not the placement that you've chosen is going to work for your creature, or if maybe you should change that positioning. It gives you the opportunity to reevaluate the design choices that you've made along the way during your creative process. And it gives you the opportunity to confirm that you made the right choices when you pin it all together and it looks great. And now all you have to do is sew the things in, but everything is already pinned, so you know where it all goes and you know how it's going to look when it's complete. That's not quite as straight as I would like. I'm going to move this over slightly. We're almost done with this back fin. Just needs to come around to about here. One, two. I direct the pins as I'm pinning them in different directions so that if one pin did pull out, the others are not pinned the exact same way, so they won't pull out. So I won't lose all of the placement if something does happen to disturb the pinning. I keep creatures pinned together until I'm ready to sew them together. Sometimes they can be pinned for months before I am able to find the time to sew them.
It's been 84 years.
The time or the willpower. So that is pinning a fin to attach that is meant to stand up on the body. It's meant to be perpendicular to the body. It's not meant to lay flat against the body. Next, we'll add a fin that is meant to lay against the body. I'm going to pin to attach the face fins. So these I want pinned to attach right here around the cheek. I'm going to take a smaller pin just for fun. See, there's not as much length on that to weave through the crochet work, so it's not quite as effective, but it can still be done. I go through the two ends, trying to keep it positioned as I would prefer it be positioned, and then I'm going to pin another 2 or 3 times along this curve to make sure that it stays in place. And then I'll check to see if I like the way that it looks. I am yet again pinning against the area I will be sewing to attach, which is only along this base edge, just as it was only along the base edge of this fin ornamentation along the back. So I will take another couple pins and weave those in through the crochet work to pin this to attach. And that's pretty secure. I think that looks nice. Then last, we're going to take the side fin and we're going to pin this to attach. Placement on this one is a little trickier. I could place it a little higher, I could place it a little lower. You might want to, at this point in the pinning process, look up the actual creature that you're making, look up a seahorse and see where approximately their fins are pinned, or look at the examples at the end of the pattern to see if there is a seahorse example that you'd like to imitate with their shaping or pinning or design. And then you can pin those ends to attach. On this one, I also had to be conscientious about shaping the fin as I pin it, because it is fiber work and can be stretched or twisted in different ways. I want it to be smaller on this side that is going to be sewn to attach to the seahorse and broader on the outer edge of the fin. So I am pinning these 2 points that are on the body of the seahorse closer together and making that conscious decision that I will sew it this way when I sew it to attach. That doesn't look like a very tidy pinning job, but it is very secure. I hope that helps.